This one's all ready to go. I've added some shading. Now what I'm going to be doing is inking this. Oh, backing up a little bit. Gary asked what I was using for pencils and that. Well, the initial rough was done with Col-Erase pencils like these. Just typical wood pencils, but they are colored. And I did the light table tracing with a H pencil. It's a little on the hard side. And then when I did the final pencils on the board, I used a mechanical pencil, and I had an F lead inside the mechanical pencil. So just a few things. I'm not really a purist in what I have to use and what I don't use. I typically use whatever's handy, whatever gets the job done. Now I'm going to be inking most of this with a brush. That's another thing that's different about what I do between the difference between conventions and what I do at home. So I have my cup of water for cleaning my brush. I am using FW acrylic ink, and I have my little inkwell here, and I am using Kolinsky Sable brushes. Now this is a number 3, and I get this from a small company in England, Rosemary and Company, and these are comparable to a Series 7 Winsor Newton, so, and about a third of the price. It's a little Rosemary and Company is a little place, and you actually call them to order your brushes. You might even talk to Rosemary. That's how small the company is. At any rate, I like the brushes, so I use them for watercolor and I use them for inking, but not the same brushes for both, because you don't want to do that. You get ink stuck up in there and then you end up with other problems. Also, I use the Masters brush cleaner and preserver for my brushes after I'm done with them. This helps keep them clean. It's basically a bar of soap inside here, and you run your brush back and forth over it, build up some lather, clean out your brush, get all the ink that gets stuck up inside your inside the hairs. So makes them last longer too. Anyways, normally what I like to do is when I start off, I might just take a Post-it or something and just kind of start doing small little lines just to get a feel for the brush again. I haven't inked anything with a brush in a while. I haven't had too many commissions. So at one time I pretty much inked all the time with a brush. And you know, I forgot to set my my alarm. So I'm going to have to guesstimate when I started. And we will go ahead and set that up real quick. Let's see. Let's say we've gone 3 minutes already, so we'll start it now. Okay, so as I was saying, I like to just kind of use the brush a little bit, get some a little feel for it. See how it's springing back, because I haven't used this brush in a little bit. Alright, so we're set. That's warmed up enough for me. Now, I have a kneaded eraser somewhere. Here it is. Now, what I do with this is I just like to lightly take off some of my pencil lead. All I'm doing is just kind of dabbing it, and it's just taking anything that's kind of loose. Otherwise, what can happen is if there's too much lead, when I lay the, or graphite I should say, there's too much graphite on the board, and the ink is put right on top of the graphite. Of course, the graphite doesn't adhere to the paper all that well. What happens is the ink isn't really getting to the paper, so there's a layer of graphite between the ink and the paper. what happens is when I start to erase, that ink will come right up or get real dull looking. That's what happens sometimes when you see when somebody erases and everything gets kind of gray. Now, I'm not an inker by trade. I'm an inker by necessity. So there might be things that I do that a trained inker would just look at and go, "Oh my God, what the hell is he doing?" But I'm an inker out of necessity because I worked on so many independent books, and it's so hard to get anybody to actually commit to working on a book and getting it done. I pretty much had to learn how to ink so I could actually get the work done. So, never claimed to be an inker. I just claimed to be somebody that wanted to do artwork. Phew. And yes, there are times when you can start to work and you can flip the brush around and get butterfingers and drop it right on your board. I like to say that never happened to me, but it has. Sometimes it's okay. If you're lucky, it was an area that was just going to be spotted with black anyways. If you're unlucky, it's right across the character's face and it's pretty much over with. If you're doing the art for production, it's okay really, because you can white out some areas if you can still work with it after you've whited it out. But if it's for a commission, nobody really wants to see a bunch of whiteout all over their commission. Understandably so. Anybody who's been to a convention that's come by to see me has probably seen me ink before with a brush or with a pen. The process isn't really that much different. The only difference is that when I'm at home and I'm not talking to a camera, I usually have a little bit more concentration. But I've been doing conventions for so many years that it really doesn't distract me too much. Right now I've got a dog scratching at my door that wants to come in. She hears me talking and thinks there's somebody in here with me. Let's see, make sure that's in stone frame. Yeah, okay. We've probably only got about a minute before we go into the next part, so somewhere.